When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? When was it ever great?
Do you think America is the greatest country in the world?
No.
No.
Black people in America are the most affluent black people to ever be on the planet.
Are we fucking great yet? Are we a great country?
Before we even argue on this topic, before you type in the comments, let me ask you one simple question. When people say America is great, what moments are they talking about? Because depending on who you ask, that question change real quick. Some people hear greatness and think opportunity. Others hear that same word and remember struggle. But don't even take those words for now. Let's go watch some of these clips, then we come back because we need to break this down properly. So guys, without wasting much time, let's watch those clips and we come back for our full conversation on it.
I just wanted to know, where are you from?
Texas.
From America, right?
Yeah.
I just want to know, when was America great for us black people?
Right now.
Oh,
Tell you it's great right now.
Really?
Yeah. It ain't great for you?
No, not at all.
How?
I mean, I'm living life.
Looking good. You got clothes on. Look well fed.
But that doesn't mean
Got
it's great.
beautiful hair.
Oh, thank you.
Got your eyeliner on. You looking good. What kind of bag is that? That's a nice little bag there. You look good. America look good for you. If you were eating out of trash can, I'll tell you something different. America's a great place. I don't understand how we are not acknowledging that. It's great. Look at all these different people out here. Men, women, black, white. You will never see this much diversity anywhere else. It's the greatest place on earth. Everybody can be here and enjoy one another, disagree with each other. We have the freedom of speech, freedom to keep and bear arms. We don't have to worry about the government interfering in our lives for the most part. It's the greatest country ever. And if we don't start acknowledging that, we're going to screw up something good.
Great for who? Because while they were writing the Constitution, our ancestors were picking cotton with babies on their backs and their freedom hanging from the trees. Greatness meant genocide for indigenous people, forced sterilization for black women, gator bait, sundown towns, redlining, and medical experiments. We're still living the fallout. Underfunded schools, over-policed neighborhoods, and textbooks that lie. If great means stolen land, stolen labor, and silenced truth, then yeah, America was great at destroying everything in its path. That's why Black AF history matters, and the truth is more accessible than ever. And this time, we're the ones telling it.
Do you think America is the greatest country in the world?
Yes. No.
America is the best country in the world, yeah. No.
America is the greatest country in the world.
Because every country has positives and negatives about it.
It depends on how you define great.
America is the greatest country in the history of the world.
There is a lot wrong with America, but I still think it's the greatest country in the world.
I've lived in a few places, and like my experience in America is generally you kind of have access to everything.
If you're talking about economically, yeah, sure.
America is the greatest country in the world is like a 30s propaganda thing that hasn't been around for a while.
But people also value other things than economy, like peace.
We're not. Like, it's just so obvious that we're not.
So I'm an immigrant, and if you ask basically anyone from outside the United States where they'd rather be, there's a lot of people in a lot of places they'd be here.
Do you know, for the last year, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about when did the downfall of America really start? And, you know, my mind used to go to Ronald Reagan because, you know, a lot of the policies that we find ourselves having to deal with today stem from him. Some people say 9/11 because of the Patriot Act, and that's when our privacy rights started being stripped away. Corporations became people, you know, and Citizens United. Like, so there's that argument. And the more that I think about it and the more that I learn, because I'm always trying to learn more and read more and get different perspectives than my own, the more that the sad truth that I come to is that it didn't begin at any of those points. It's just always been bad. Like, the roots of this country, the founding principles of this country were always flawed, evil, kind of nuts. Like, I don't know that it ever really was what any of us were told that it was. I don't know that it ever fell, because I don't think that it was ever what we were told it was. And that's the truly sad part of all of this, is coming to the realization that it's not Donald Trump. It's not Ronald Reagan. It's not even just capitalism. you could say it's racism. Really, it's just sad because we're coming up on 250-year anniversary of this country's founding, and the truth of the matter is that I don't think that America was ever great. And that's a hard pill to swallow as an American. Is what it is, man.
I've asked the question a million times, when was America great, right? Because make America great again. And I think I know when it was great again. So it would make sense that America was great between 2000 and 2004, because that's when George W. got an amazing economy from Clinton. And then, of course, while George W. was in office over those 8 years, his policies crashed the banking system, creating too big to fail. Then we get Obama, who spends 8 years getting the economy back on track. Then he gives the keys over to Trump, right? So from 2016 to 2020, because we're coming out of another Democrat that fixed another Republican's problems, we have a great economy again. So that's when America is great again, is during Trump's 2016 to 2020. Now, Trump triples the deficit, 27 trillion now versus 9. We hit a wall with COVID, shut down our economy for 2 years. Biden has to come in and now fix Trump's mess. And now he's running on making America great again, assuming going back to 2000, 2004 or 2016 to 2020. Both great times in our lives that came after 8 years of a Democrat. So what I see is that they should have waited another 4 years to pick up that 8-year economy that Biden or the Democrats would have fixed. And then they would have made America great again. But you're not going to be able to fix this problem or make it like it was before because nobody has solved those problems for you. So to go back to when it was great in 2016 or 2000, I just don't think it's going to happen because you didn't give the Democrats enough time to actually turn around what he did.
Black people in America are the most affluent black people to ever be on the planet. Ever. So when you get someone like Samuel Jackson with the woe is me mentality.
Oh yeah, he's unbelievable.
What do you mean? You are the highest paid black person ever.
He's in every other movie.
Right? But nonetheless, I'm 55. So when people are going on about Donald Trump, for those of us who are older, we remember Donald Trump from Mike Tyson's time, right? So if they talking about Donald Trump is racist and stuff, why is it that you constantly see Donald Trump back in the 80s with Mike Tyson, Donald King?
You know what?
When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? When was it ever great in America for the African American?
So Bryan Cranston has stirred up a lot of controversy recently on the internet with an interview highlighting something that a lot of places have studied for some time, talking about how the phrase "make America great again" and other phrases similar tend to highlight the lack of empathy we're always seeing from the right, and their overall consistent inability to step outside of their own experience and acknowledge others. Because at its core, that is what empathy is, the ability to share someone else's feelings or experience by imagining what it would be like to be in that person's situation. Which is kind of the main reason I always say, I have some friends and acquaintances that are kind of on the right, but I would never date someone on the right because someone who has a lot of empathy is important to me in dating, and cue all of the crying boys who totally don't care in my comments. The phrase itself, "make America great again," perfectly embodies their utter lack of empathy. Because it brings up the great question they can never seem to answer is, when was America great for absolutely everybody and not just straight white men is the catch. I mean, African Americans weren't even technically freed until 1869. They couldn't really all even vote, and not even voting safely at this point, till 1870. They're still fighting being able to vote safely and easily to this day. The Civil Rights Act wasn't passed until 1964, not that long ago. Married women weren't even allowed to own their own property or keep their own working wages until 1848. We definitely couldn't even vote until 1920. Even though technically we were supposed to be able to have our own bank accounts in the 60s, many banks would still not allow them to be signed off without a husband. And without a husband, we weren't allowed to own credit cards until 1974. Which is wild when you consider that's close to 10 years off from when my oldest sibling was born. And many of us weren't even allowed to be married legally everywhere until 2015, and they're still fighting that constantly to this day. When you say the phrase "make America great again," who does that include? Because it excludes all women, all people of color, LGBTQ communities. Do you want to do the math on who's left in that equation? Yeah, it's people who have no ability to see outside of their lived experience and understand that America wasn't really ever that amazing for the rest of us.
There's a MAGA fighting with me on another post about when was America great, and he said before Obama with a laughing face. Before Obama was George W. Bush, and in case people forget, we were bombed on American soil in 2001, which led us to two wars, Afghanistan and Iraq, where thousands of Americans were killed. Everything that followed after was horrible, but we won't blame that on Bush. I mean, he does hold part responsibility. What else happened during Bush? The recession, the housing market crash. Obama came in and had to fix all of that. So what are we talking about? What was great about that?
When the bright people in the world say make America great again, what era of history are y'all referring to? Are y'all referring to the era of 1900 through the 1910s, in which the Great Migration occurred and the brutalities of Jim Crow laws was very prevalent? Or the era of 1910 through the 1920s, in which World War I was vamping up, racial riots started and commenced because of the Great Migration? Or y'all are talking about the era of 1920 to 1930, in which this was the period where it was very prevalent. If you know, you know. I can't even explain that one. Or the era of 1930 through 1940, in which World War II was very prevalent. The Great Depression was at all-time high. And guess who all those things hit people the worst? Guess what group of people? Just take a wild guess who got hit the hardest with that. Or y'all could be referring to 1940 through 1950, in which so many efforts due to my black people in World War II created all of these executive orders to, start desegregation. Yeah. But we know who hated that. Shall I continue? Because I can go to part 2.
What year was America great?
When it was founded.
Except for the slavery stuff.
Except for the slavery stuff,
I think we were probably our strongest immediately post-World War II.
So around the 1950s?
Yeah, mid-40s, 50s.
I mean, I think the 50s was great other than, segregation and women's rights.
Look, we could sit here and paint negative faces of all times in America.
Correct.
So I've been thinking a lot lately about the term make America great again, as one does in these times. And I got stuck on one word, again. What exactly does again mean here? Because again assumes that America used to be great sometime in the past. And I'm just curious, when was that? I know it definitely isn't talking about when Biden was president or when Obama was president. So that already eliminates a couple of decades. And it can't even be talking about when Trump was president last time, because people were still saying make America great again while he was still in office. So clearly again doesn't mean 2016 to 2020 either. Let's keep running it back. Was America great before slavery ended in 1865? Was it great before women could vote in 1920? Before interracial marriage became legal in 1967? Before gay marriage became legal in 2015? I'm not even trying to be sarcastic, I'm genuinely trying to do some math here. Because when people say make America great again, you never really hear about a specific year where it was great before. And maybe that's because again isn't really about history. Maybe it was about nostalgia, a longing for a time when life felt simpler for some people, even if it meant fewer rights for others. So maybe the real question isn't when was America great, maybe it's great for who? Because if again means going backward, back to less freedom, less equality, and more hierarchy, then maybe we're not talking about greatness at all. Maybe greatness isn't something we return to. Maybe it's something we build together for the future.
When was America last great?
For me, I would say the turning point for our country was 1913, when we passed the 17th Amendment. And
like back when women couldn't vote?
Yeah, back up, but again, let's go back.
That's kind of your sweet spot right there.
Absolutely.
What year was America great?
When it was founded.
Except for the slavery stuff.
Except for the slavery stuff,
I think we were probably our strongest immediately post-World War II.
So around the 1950s?
Yeah, mid-40s, 50s.
I mean, I think the 50s was great other than, segregation and women's rights.
Look, we could sit here and paint negative faces of all times.
Now that we have seen those clips, let's have a real talk. This question right here, how is American great? When and for who? That's not just a question, that's a perspective check. because greatness is not one story. It depends on your history, your background, and your life experience. And if we are being honest, not everybody experiences the same fashion of great. Let's be real for a moment. When people talk about American being great, they usually point to freedom, opportunity, success stories. And yes, those things exist. But here is the part that often gets skipped. Those opportunities were not always equal or accessible to everyone at the same time. And that's where the real conversation begins. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. For many black communities, history in America include fighting for basic rights, pushing through systemic barriers, building culture while facing resistance. And despite all of that, the influence is undeniable. From music, fashion, language, innovation, black culture has shaped global trend in ways people particularly in every single day. So when we ask who was American grateful, we are always asking who had to fight the hardest just to be included in that greatness. Here's where things get uncomfortable because two things can be true at once. America created opportunities. Those opportunities were not equally distributed. And ignoring one side of that story is how people end up having completely different realities. That's why the question is so hard. It forced people to step outside their own experiences. This is not about tearing anything down. This is about understanding the full picture because you can't talk about greatness without also talking about growth, change, and the people who push that change forward. And a lot of that progress came from voices that refused to be ignored. Now, fast forward to today. The conversation is still happening. People are still asking, what does fairness looks like? What does opportunity really mean? Who still feel left out? And that's why this topic keep going viral because it's not just history, it's still relevant right now. So everyone watching this, especially those who understand the journey behind the culture, never underestimate the impact, the resilience, and the influence. Because even in situations where recognition came late, the contribution was always there, and the story is still being written. If you made it this far, I want to hear from you. When you hear America is great, what does that mean to you? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more real unfiltered conversation like this, hit that subscribe button right now because we are just reacting. We are not just reacting, we are thinking deeper. And at the end of the day, greatness is not just a word, it's a story. And depending on who is telling it, it can sound completely different. So the real question is not just is American great? It's whose story we are listening to when we say that. Thank you for watching. I will see you all in my next video.